Hello again, everyone. Welcome to Bravely Being Yoga. I'm Beth, and we are here to do an introductory practice to yoga for anger. It's an emotion that we tend to have a very strange relationship with in our culture. It's something that we all deal with at different times, and it's something that if we are experiencing trauma triggers in our world, is going to be triggered. It's going to come up. And it's really important to give it some space and to not stuff it down, to not ignore it, but to really allow it to be there. So as always, please consult your primary care physician and your mental health professional before participating in any of these videos, all right? So anger, it's a big emotion, you guys. It's a big feeling. One of the interesting things about anger for me is that there seem to be a lot of norms kind of around who should be angry and who shouldn't, or how you should express anger or how you shouldn't. And I have noticed that anger is often paired with a lot of other emotions. A lot of times it's on top of something else. So maybe we got anger as this really big overarching sensation with a lot of fear underneath, and a lot of sadness underneath, sometimes a lot of shame underneath. And again, I just think that it's valuable to not just acknowledge its presence, but to really notice what it's like to feel angry in our bodies, because that in and of itself is giving voice in a different way and providing some support, because the physical, again, like all of these emotions, the physical sensations that come along with trauma triggers and with the emotions that come with those triggers, those physical sensations can feel like they are ruling us, like they are just taking over our lives. So I invite you to participate as much or as little in this as you'd like. And I hope it's valuable for you. Anger is big. It's very stirred up. We're going to kind of start really slowly, kind of build a little bit and then move back down so that you can really work on developing some of that body awareness. That's what we're going to do together, okay? So if you'd like to join me, let's go ahead and start laying down with our knees pointing up towards the ceiling. So as we find this really comfortable position, with our feet planted on the floor, maybe our palms resting on the floor, maybe there's a little bit of movement. I don't know if you noticed, but I started kind of gently swaying my knees back and forth as soon as I rested in this position. I'm a big believer in the flow part of yoga, the movement part of it, especially trauma-informed yoga, which is what we're doing here. And so just go with it. Let's just allow our bodies to seek out what they need. And maybe we continue to have a little bit of movement. Maybe that movement gets really bigger. We've got some windshield wiping movement in our legs. Or maybe we come and find a resting stillness. And before we start moving, I would love for us to take an opportunity to notice that sensation of anger. Okay, let's notice the feeling, and then let's notice where we feel it in our bodies. And I know that might seem kind of like a strange question, but like, just if you feel comfortable closing your eyes, you can, or you can leave them open. Just notice where's the like feeling of that anger? Where is it? Is it core? Is it like chest heaviness? Is it throat? Like, working up to say something? Shoulder tension, hips really tight, those hip flexors engaging. Sometimes it's hands and feet. Just check in and notice. And then as you start to feel where the anger is, I invite you to pick a color that it seems like it might fit. And just notice what that color might be, the texture of it, the feel of it. And just allow that feeling, that anger, to have the space that it needs. Okay? So maybe it's taking up just a little bit of space, or maybe it's really radiating. And either way is okay. We're going to just notice what it is that's happening, and maybe even add that scale. I love the scale stuff. So maybe that 0 to 10, 0 is, and that emotion's not present at all. 10 is, that radiating sensation is overtaking my body. It's all around me. Just notice where it is. Okay. Let's just check in with it. And as we feel ready, we're going to just build a tiny bit of gentle heat by marching these feet. So we're going to bring up our right foot and place it back down on the mat, and then our left and place it back down. And as we start to incorporate this movement, we just notice that sensation, the color, the feeling, the texture of that anger. We let it be there and we start to breathe. And we inhale and we exhale. Feeling what it's like to engage those core muscles just a little bit, just to start generating this movement. And maybe we go back and forth 1 or 2 more times. This is your practice. You get to choose how long you stay in any position, whether you stay in it at all. And when we feel ready, maybe we bring our knees into our chest. Maybe we have a little bit of rocking from side to side, a little lower spine massage on the mat. Maybe we kind of circle those knees. Again, creating some movement or staying in the stillness. Both are great. I invite you to either roll over onto that side, supporting yourself, to move into a seated position, or maybe, if you'd like, feel free to rock with me. So we can hold behind our legs and have a little roller coaster massage for our spines, maybe 3 or 4 times. So feel free to try that with me if you'd like. You'll have to build a little bit of momentum first, just like this. And as we settle, maybe we place those feet on the floor. Maybe you got it by rolling over to that side and just join us here. So let's swing those legs around to the side. Let's listen to our bodies. We're going to move into cat and cow. So if this position feels safe or it's something you want to try today, please join us. If it's not something you want to try today, maybe we just sit. Maybe we sit and focus on that feeling. Either way is great. Let's take an opportunity to listen to ourselves. So if you'd like to join me, we're going to move to our hands and knees with those hands nicely supporting underneath those shoulders, and those knees supporting underneath our hips. Maybe we have just a couple nice cat and cow positions. A nice inhale with that spine curving down towards the floor, and our exhale with that nice round curve reaching up towards the ceiling. All the muscles of the core are engaging gently. Maybe we do another set, and we're going to meet together back in this neutral spine here. We are going to take our right hand, so we'll have to adjust our left hand so that it's kind of placed in the center of our torso here. We're going to take our right hand and reach it up towards the ceiling, and we're going to thread it through our left arm here, coming down to the floor. Noticing what this twist feels like, how this twist feels different in our bodies, and maybe even checking in back with that sensation again, that anger. How does it feel after a little bit of movement? Better, worse, or the same? We're going to unravel ourselves to switch sides, so we'll unravel that right arm right back up towards the ceiling. We'll place it down underneath us. And now we switch sides, okay? So we're going to take that right hand underneath. We'll twist that left side all the way up. And let's thread the needle all the way through to the left. Maybe we notice how one side feels different than the other. Maybe if we're experiencing a lot of tension in our upper body that pairs with this anger, maybe we just feel a little bit of relief in this position. And as always, we check in with our breathing. It's such a great place to come back to every time, coming back to that breath, because it's always there. So we're going to unravel ourselves once more. And we meet here again. We're going to come into downward dog. You may need to move those hands forwards. I'm actually going to scoot myself forward on my mat just a little bit so I have enough space. We're going to tuck those toes under and press those hips up towards the ceiling, creating this nice little upside down V position, all right? And we're reaching those heels towards the floor, but we're keeping that nice soft bend in our knees. Maybe it's a really, really big bend. Maybe it's a little bit more of a length towards the floor. As we press those hips up and we press our palms into the floor. We're reaching those palms into the floor. So maybe this is enough for us, and maybe we go back down to the floor into a nice child's pose, or maybe we keep moving into a little mini warrior series, appropriate when we're experiencing this extreme, overwhelming anger that we might be feeling today. So we're going to take our right foot, reaching it up. We're going to keep it parallel, so we're going to just reach it towards the back wall, reaching that heel towards the ceiling and those toes towards the floor, just like this. So we reach it up, we're going to thread it through, and we're going to move to step that heel between our hands. We're going to set that back foot down on a diagonal so that our heel is facing in and our toes are facing out. And we're going to gently bring ourselves all the way up to warrior one. Here you are. Really noticing what it feels like to be in this position. What does it feel like in that core of your body where you're experiencing that anger, wherever that was? We might scoot that heel a couple of notches forward. We're going to split our back foot in half with that front foot, and we're moving into warrior two. So we keep that nice bend in our front foot at a nice 90-degree angle. We reach those hands forward and back. Warrior two is one of my favorite poses or movements in yoga. It helps me feel really grounded into the floor, but really rooted and like I have something to grow out of. Maybe that makes sense to you. Check in and remember that you're still breathing. Maybe a couple of gentle inhales and exhales. We're going to windmill those arms back down to the floor, and we're going to reverse this whole thing, okay? So as we tuck those toes under, we're going to move that right foot back to meet the left. Here we are back in our downward dog. Maybe we march those feet a little bit, march those heels. And we're gonna go ahead and start into this other side. So we'll lift that left foot up, bringing that foot in to our body to step it forward between those legs. Placing that right heel down on the mat, those right toes facing out, engaging those core muscles to bring us all the way up to standing warrior one. As we continue to move through this practice, this might be a great opportunity to notice if there are any other emotions kind of living with that anger today. The anger has a right to be there in and of itself, but sometimes we need to also cultivate our awareness about how anger presents and what other emotions it presents with. I saw a quote that said, "Anger is fear's bodyguard." I wish I could provide a reference for that, but it was just the quote in and of itself, and it really stood out to me. Anger is fear's bodyguard. So we're going to walk that right foot forward just a little bit. Cut that left foot's going to cut the right foot in half into this warrior two position. So again, there's no right or wrong here. Maybe we're just experiencing the full brunt of anger. Maybe we need to just acknowledge that, appreciate it for what it is. Or maybe we also start to allow some other emotions and sensations to be present with it. A little more complexity, but it's a real experience, a very real experience. We're going to windmill those arms back down to the floor. We'll walk that left foot back to meet our right once more. And we're going to bring those knees right down to the floor. And we're going to sit down on one side. And bring those legs right back around to the front. Here we are. Let's lower ourselves back down to the mat once more. Let's use a little bit of support. Lower ourselves back down. Back where we started. And maybe we have a chance to check in once more with that feeling. We notice maybe if the color has changed at all. Maybe the texture of it, the feeling or sensation of it has shifted. Maybe it's contracted, maybe it's released a little bit bigger. There's no right or wrong. This body knowing experience of how we feel is a very renewing process, but it takes a lot of work and it can be pretty exhausting. I know that's why we keep these practices short to start with, because we are doing a great deal of emotional work paired with the physical. So just allow that breath to be there. Noticing those shoulder blades dropping down along the spine, sinking into the floor. Maybe noticing how grounded those feet are into the floor. How the floor is supporting our bodies in this moment. The triggers and the old stuff that may have come up as we were moving. We notice that too. We notice how that plays into this anger that we have been experiencing. I know it sounds crazy to say we can express some gratitude for putting some of the pieces together, but that's what this work is about. Putting back some of the pieces together, relearning our bodies, being really patient with ourselves, seeing ourselves as healing warriors, honestly. I know that sounds very cheesy, but that's what this is all about. So maybe we roll over to our side, giving ourselves a moment to feel the floor's support. You can use that right hand or whichever hand you have here in the front of your body to press up to a very comfortable seated position. Maybe those eyes have been closed, maybe they flutter open. Maybe we make some little adjustments. Maybe we feel that spine lengthening down into the floor, and that crown of the head reaching up to the ceiling, and the really beautiful space and length that radiates through our bodies as we sit here and bring ourselves back to the room. As always, I just applaud you, your guts, your tenacity, your strength, your perseverance. Anger is a big one. I want to encourage you to find some healthy and productive ways to express it. Find some more outlets, whether that's different types of movement, whether that's more yoga, whether that's writing, whether that's crucial conversations, maybe take a mantra with you. One that I've really been focusing on in the last couple of days is, I am more than enough. That was spoken into my world over the weekend, and so now I'm sharing it with you. You're not just enough, I am more than enough. So I hope that encourages you. I can't wait to see you here again. And take care of yourselves. Okay? Namaste.